Hi everyone. Today I just want to introduce Richard Bosser. He is the relationship manager of Web Wealth Management. Hi Richard, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi Sudesh. Thanks for the opportunity. I work for Web Wealth Management. We are a business that's part of a bigger finance company called Canale Financial Group. And Web Wealth Management, in particular, looks after all the finance needs for clients in terms of lending. So if somebody's buying a property or refinancing their loan, needing finance for a car, or if they are looking for anything to do with finance, commercial property as well. So that's
Okay.
what we do within the group.
Wow, that's really great. Now recently the interest rate cut happened. More people are coming to the market to buy properties and doing right. Am I correct?
That's correct. That's correct. It's created a bit more affordability in terms of clients' borrowing capacities that are a lot better. And also there are new lenders offering a lot more healthier borrowing capacities for clients, not just with the interest rate reduction, also with the assessment rates being a little lower as well.
And what I noticed is after the interest rate cut, more people get the confidence to get into the market. That's what I noticed. More people are coming to the market, right?
I agree. I agree.
In Australia, as per the survey, it says only less than 20% of the people are having investment properties. More than 70 or 75% people, they are not even thinking about to buy investment property. From your point of view, why the people are not thinking about buying investment property?
There are multiple reasons for that. Over the years, so I've been in the industry about 25 years now. So I think what happens is when people buy their first home in Australia, usually they feel a bit settled. And then that's when they begin to have children, and then they start focusing on children's education. So that takes out a lot of their cash. And after they put their kids through school and they're finished with the schooling, then they start to look at how can they start to deal about issues relating to their retirement, their wealth creation, and all that. So there is that gap between when people have children, seeing them through school. So that's one reason why people are pulling back. The other reason is people who either migrate to Australia, they come here in their late 30s, early 40s. So their career, they're at that point where they are at the maximum level in their career. So their incomes are not growing as much. And as a result of that, they've borrowed the maximum at the peak of their career. So now they don't have more surplus income to get into the next deal. So that's another reason I've noticed. And thirdly, I've noticed that some people are not aware that they can use their equity in the current home as a deposit to borrow and start getting the next property. So that's another reason I'm saying that people. So generally, those are the three reasons I feel that why people haven't started looking at investment properties.
I totally agree with that. Those three reasons are very relevant. The people, they are getting lots of loans and they feel like it is overwhelmed. But
Correct.
when we are buying a right investment property in the right location, we can get good cash flow. Which
Correct.
if they have extra mortgage for the investment properties, most of the repayment will cover by the rent. And
Correct.
as you mentioned, many of the people, once they purchase their primary house, after 2 to 3 years, they can use their equity to buy their house without
Correct.
without using their hard-earned money for initial deposit. So which means there are options are there, but people are busy with their job and family commitments. They don't have enough time to learn or get an understanding about how the system works. So
Correct.
yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's definitely there. So lack of knowledge is also a pretty, I'd say, strong point. Even so, with self-managed super funds, which is a growing segment at the moment, and the reason for that is, I would say, in one example, as a migrant myself, a lot of migrants are coming in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, so they really do not have much in super and they cannot use their super as much. to prepare for their retirement other than what the employer is going to contribute.
Mhm.
So for people who have been here 15, 20 years, they have a little bit of money built up in super, which they do not realize that they can actually leverage to get a bigger asset,
Yep.
like real estate, for example, and then the growth. So most people who say have 150 or 200,000 in super, the super may be growing at 7 or 8% as an example
Mhm.
in good times.
Yep.
Yes, it'll go up and down, but let's say all things being equal, you got 150, 200, it's growing at 7, 8%. What I mean by leverage is if they use that money to purchase an asset, now the asset is valued at say 5 or 600,000, a $600,000 asset growing at that 7 to 8% is a bigger compounding effect than if they just had their standard money there. So being able to leverage your super fund is also something that not many people are familiar with. They think it is a complex area and they think it is an expensive option and it might not suit their needs. But when they start to explore that avenue, they would find that it's really not that complex. It's not hard to do. And at the end, in a 10 or 15-year period, if you just rely on what your employer is contributing versus investing and leveraging into a larger footprint in terms of your capital asset, you will actually be better off. And there are a lot of tax advantages after you get to that age 60 and beyond, which is very favorable to consider specifically for investments with larger assets.
I totally agree with that. In Australia, 99% of the people have superannuation. But out of that, more than 60% of the people, they are not even aware about how much fund they have in their super. They are
Exactly.
even.
It's a younger crowd who are just starting out their work and all that. Their main aim is to save up the deposit. So yes, they got to do that first before they are able to get into the real estate market.
Yep.
But some people are at that point where the parents are willing to help them,
Hmm.
either by offering equity from their property,
Yep.
or if they're able to give them a gift, then
Yep.
they can get into the market. So the earlier you get into the market, the better, because then more time in the market means possibly more profit. So a short time may not be the best solution. You're taking a higher risk if you're expecting to make a big profit in a short time. So aim to be in the market for as long as you can. That's one thing I'd say for the younger crowd.
Yes.
And for the people, the migrants who have just maybe been here 5, 10 years, and they're in their 40s, for example, then they've got hardly 20 years to build for their retirement. So they may have assets still overseas, which they're going to either sell and bring, or they may be going back. But they need to be looking at how they can leverage as much as they can, and don't look at debt as a bad thing. The largest companies and successful companies in the world have debt, and that's how they've got to that point, by using that leverage. So it's no different for an individual. They can adopt the same strategies and start to look at avenues. If you've run out of options with your deposit outside super, then look at options inside super. Because real estate is a strong asset class in this country, whether it's residential or commercial. So that is a good investment to have, and it gives them a bigger compounding effect.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is here, the youngsters, they have lots of benefits. Like many of the youngsters, they are staying with their parents, and they start earning. They have good borrowing capacity. They can, once they start utilizing at the initial early stage, that will help them to buy multiple investment properties by the age of 30s. If a person, or at the age of 30s, if they can buy 3 or 4 properties, by the age of 40 or 45, they can think about retirement. Make sense?
That's exactly correct, because they've had enough time to build up capital growth during that period.
Yeah. Here what's happening is the current retirement age in Australia is 67. And we can see that more than 10 to 15% of the people are working after the retirement age as well. So if we educate our kids or guide our kids to buy properties at the initial stage, they can plan early retirement. So my strong recommendation, if someone is watching this video, they have kids, those who started earning, they need to motivate them or encourage them or guide them to buy investment properties at the early stage.
Yeah.
And Many people are thinking that to buy an investment property, they need 1 million or 800 or 1.2 million, something like that. No, still properties are available 400 to 600 range.
Correct.
Recently I secured a property for my client for 465K with a rental returns of 480 per week. So which means their repayment, more than 80% of the repayment they can cover from the rental income. So the people can start thinking about to buy small budget properties. And many of the people are making mistakes that if they have borrowing capacity of 700 or 800, they are thinking about to buy a property for that price. That will then they will be stuck for some time because they are utilizing their whole amount. Instead of that, if they are buying 400 or 500K property, that will help them to buy the next property maybe within 6 months time. So the people want to follow the right strategy. Many of the people are making mistakes as well in real estate investments. That is the reason why there are lots of people. If we talk to any of your colleagues or colleagues or friends, they are saying many of them have bad experience with real estate investment because they invested in wrong asset.
Exactly.
In Australia, real estate is one of the best option, but if you are picking the right property, then only it will be the best. If you are picking the wrong choice, wrong asset, then the people will struggle. So it is
Correct.
important that buy the right investment property in the right location for the right price. Yes. So, I'm working as a buyer's agent. What I'm doing is I'm educating my audience the importance of buying investment property, and at the same time, I guide them to buy the right investment property in the right location for the right price. That is my service. I'm providing the buyer's agent service to the people. And
That's very good.
if anyone of watching this video and you are thinking that buying an investment property is hard, or you are struggling to find the right investment property, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to give you free one-to-one session, and I'm conducting a webinar every week. Not one webinar, I'm conducting two webinars. One is on Monday, 8 p.m. Sydney time. On Monday, I'm talking about why 2025 is important in Australian real estate market. That is the topic I'm doing the webinar on Monday. And Wednesday, the topic is how to pay off your mortgage in 10 years. Most of the homeowners in Australia, they have 20 or 25 years of mortgage, and they're working hard to pay off their mortgage faster by doing extra hours or weekend job or second job. In this webinar, I will tell you how you can pay off your mortgage in a smart way without working hard. So if anyone of you are interested, just I can provide you the link to register for the webinar in the comment. You can register for the webinar and you can get this information. Once you get the information, that will give you the confidence to take decision. Okay. Thank you, Richard, for joining me and the information which you shared, which is very helpful for my audience as well. And looking forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Likewise, Sudesh. Thank you. Thank you for that today.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.